mother, it's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just the
Duo.
of feathery brethren, weathering any season to see the Eagles eating teams like Scrammy's top with cheese. It's Philadelphia. Wulf and Zach kicking it cooler than
Two.
Penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some Birds with Friends. The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some Birds with Friends. Wulf and Zach coming at you with stats and things flapping.
We are going to rip out the hearts of other podcasts. We are going to bite off their eyeballs. We're going to start every segment watching the scene from The Last of the Mohicans where the guy takes a bite out of the other guy's heart. We may not be good, but we're going to be nasty. We're going to reflect the blue-collar nature of this city. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Birds with Friends Thursday evening. Bo Wulf, Marissa Dunn, Zach Berman, who looks like he's muted and doesn't realize it, here to talk about the latest happenings with the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's a newsy episode. So I say we send it right to the Stone Cold Newsman. What's happening? How is it that the Eagles are feasting on some Bobby Q?
The Philadelphia Eagles made a splash on Wednesday when they acquired Robert Quinn, the experienced three-time Pro Bowl edge rusher, one of the seven active players in the NFL who has reached 100 sacks. They gave up a 2023 fourth-round draft pick to bring Quinn into a defensive end rotation, or I should say edge rusher rotation. That includes Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, and Brandon Graham. Robert Quinn arrived in Philadelphia on Thursday, met his new teammates, was out on the practice field, and could play Sunday. We'll find out more when Nick Sirianni speaks on Friday. When he was on the practice field, another player who was out there was Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson cleared from the concussion protocol, back at practice, had a chance to speak to him today. We can get to that in a bit. Elsewhere in the news, to make room for Robert Quinn, the Eagles cut Teron Jackson, the second year edge rusher. And then also the Eagles started the 21-day practice window on tight end Tyree Jackson. So that is something to monitor as well. The last piece of news, I don't know if we covered this in the last podcast or not, but I will. It's worth repeating. Greg Ward rejoined the practice squad for the Eagles. So those are your updates. Until then, I'm Zach Berman. Back to you at the desk, Bo.
Thanks, Zach. Marissa, how are you?
I am awesome. I'm interested to hear more in your takes on this trade and if the Eagles are going to do anything else. I'm sure the chat wants to know that. So yeah, excited for this pod and ready for Swooper to be back. I've missed it for the past week. So
I know that's right.
As Zach rolls his eyes.
That makes one of us. Yes.
So we will have Swooper coming up later in the show. We'll have a little bit of a Crow Thine Enemy on the Steelers-Eagles matchup. But let's get into this Bobby Quinn discussion. Zach, I do need to start with a bit of a mea culpa, and this is an apology to you. I don't think that this will surprise listeners to the show, but yesterday, after Robert Quinn was acquired, there was some discussion in the media room about who would be released, who would be cut.
You don't need to offer
to
me
make room for Robert Quinn. And you suggested Teron Jackson. That was your first guess. And I was just so dismissive. Very rude, I felt like, after the fact. I said, Teron Jackson? They're not cutting Teron Jackson. They like Teron Jackson. Boy, was I wrong. Egg on my face. I shouldn't have been so rude. And so, a mea culpa. I apologize. I need to check my ego at the door.
Apology accepted. No big deal.
This leads us into another opportunity for you to take a whiff, which you retracted.
It was not an opportunity to take a whiff.
A video that you tweeted from our conversation in the last podcast about the Eagles potentially acquiring Robert Quinn. It was taken as a whiff, as a flex, and you didn't like that, so you deleted the tweet. Tell us the saga.
Yes, I deleted the tweet, and there wasn't a saga. I put it up with the intent, figuring, all right, I only have X amount of characters on Twitter, but we discussed this on the podcast. So instead of like doing multiple tweets, maybe it's a way to kind of cross promote the podcast, give the analysis from the podcast from the day before about Robert Quinn. And so then I posted that, and I received 2 text messages from fellow reporters and a tweet from Shield.
Who's that?
About like flexing or taking a whiff, when really my intention was like to offer the analysis that we gave on the pod. So I thought it was very unbecoming to make it seem like I was acting like I called my shot. That wasn't the case at all. And there are, first off, I think it was fairly obvious that they'd be interested in a pass rusher. It's not like going out on a limb to say Robert Quinn was probably the best. And we'll get to this, probably the best short-term fix they could get. Now, if you're talking about like acquiring Brian Burns or Bradley Chubb, it's a different conversation. But for realistic targets that were going to be moved, then I think Robert Quinn was a really good option there. And so it didn't take a lot of connecting the dots to do that. And there are some reporters who like to throw out obvious statements and then like act like they were calling it all along. That was not the case. So I deleted that tweet because I thought it was unbecoming.
However, if it was your intention to flex and have it both ways, you were able to accomplish doing both by tweeting the video, but then saying, "Oh, I did not mean to be so self-promoting."
No, I deleted it, and then I didn't expect it to be a topic of discussion at the start of a podcast when the Eagles acquired Robert Quinn and have a big game against the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend.
Marissa, your thoughts?
I think, Zach, you should 100% repost that. Everyone should see that. It's on the pod already. You're
cross-promoting the pod. You're bringing on the show.
You're making people aware of what you discussed. I think 100% you should have not deleted that. And flex as much as, it's great. I love it.
I just got a brand new shipment of Secret in the mail. We're ready to take whiffs here.
That's still so weird to me.
Why?
4 years into this podcast, that's still so weird to me.
I'm not so protective of my masculinity that I need to be a midget man like you. Just
I've
what works best.
Yeah, we can move on from that.
A lot of comments in the chat on the vest. How are we feeling about the vest?
So another true story here. So and
flexing the arms, a literal flex.
No, and Bo knows this. I wrote a story that will be up fairly soon. It was filed recently. So I got home, I rushed to write the story, and then I had to get it done by a certain time so I can put my kids to bed or help put my kids to bed. And then we had the 7:30 kickoff for the pod. So I literally, the thing with the vest, and Bo and I have spoken about this before, is that it's a piece of clothing that you kind of forget you have on. It's not as bulky as a jacket, right? That's what I like about it. When you're in the car, you can just get right in. And so I forgot that I had it on, and then and here we are potting. Then Marissa pointed it out, and I said, "Should I take it off?" And I trust I trust Marissa's sense more than Bo's sense, and Marissa said to keep it on.
No, anyways, I like it. I'm a best person. Yeah. I like it, and the chat clearly likes it too. So
you have a pretty varied selection of vests. There's the one that your wife says makes you look like a movie director, which I always like.
We really don't need to get into this
conversation.
We don't have to get into this conversation. Big trade.
All right, let's talk about the move. I think you touched on it. I think this is, in some ways, the continuation of, I think, what has been like the year of hitting the pitches down the middle for Howie Roseman, doing the obvious things, right? And I think that was like sort of started with the Devontae Smith selection. Like, don't overthink this, right? Don't overthink Landon Dickerson. Don't overthink Jordan Davis. There's only so many human beings this big who can move like this. AJ Brown is a little bit different because obviously don't overthink you get the guy, but it takes a lot of work to be in position to get him and be involved. Don't overthink James Bradbury's on the street. You don't have a great second corner, sign him. The Robert Quinn thing, it's interesting because this is a guy who the entire league has known is available. since the summer, right? Like this is not a surprise that Robert Quinn was dealt, although we can get to the human element here because he did seem pretty shocked today when he arrived at the Novacare complex. But this is a guy, obviously he had 19 and a half sacks last year or whatever it was, second in the league in sacks.
18 and a half, yes.
18 and a half.
And top of the NFC, if you want to use the Aaron Judge.
There you go.
Yeah, the Aaron Judge role here. Yes.
Wow, was that a shot at Aaron Judge?
Yes, it
Zach?
was. Yes,
It was a shot at sports writers more than Aaron Judge. Yeah.
Wow.
Aaron Judge didn't do anything.
Okay.
So this guy's out there. We know. I mean, you talked about it. This is also like it's a very Howie Roseman move because it is what he values: pass rush, pass protection. This is bolstering that group. We can get into what it means snap wise. I think it has a lot to do with like the big picture of keeping everybody fresh down the stretch of what they expect to be a long season. I think that like if you look at the relative upside here, it's a no-brainer, right? Like if he is 80% of what he was last year production-wise, that's fantastic. For a fourth-round pick, which is likely to be a late fourth-round pick, you do that all day. I don't think it's a guarantee that it's going to be such a home run. I think it matters that the entire league knew that this guy was available, and the best offer the Bears got while picking up his contract for this year was the Eagles' fourth-round pick, which is like you would project that to be one of the later fourth-round picks already. So I think that is telling to some degree. But you talk about like what does this Eagles team need? We've hemmed and hawed about third safety and running back, which I think they still might address. But like adding a guy to replace the Derek Barnett snaps so that the Teron Jackson and Patrick Johnson snaps go to Robert Quinn, and Robert Quinn's not going to be the focal point of opposing offensive game plans. Obviously, this is a pitch like you swing at this pitch, you do this all day.
Yes, agreed. There are two. There's the actual cost, and then there's the opportunity cost. The actual cost is not particularly high, right? I've seen this opinion that this signals that the Eagles are all in on this season. I believe the Eagles. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I believe the Eagles think they are contenders this year. When you're 6-0, I mean, realistically, you have good odds to secure the 1 seed. If you secure the 1 seed, you are by definition a Super Bowl contender, right? But they only gave up, like you said, a fourth-round pick. They preserved their 6 picks in the first 2 rounds the next 2 seasons. And then the financial cost, and this was reported, I believe, by NFL Network's Tom Pelissero, that Chicago is basically picking up all the salary except the minimum. So the Eagles are paying them the minimum. So the actual cost is very low. Like they paid more for Jannard Avery. It's
funny. I think we can comment on the national media landscape, how it's funny that one person breaks the trade, one person breaks the compensation, one person breaks the the money that's being picked up. The love is spread.
Keep everyone happy that way, right? So that's one part of it is like, I don't think the actual cost is that high. So there's really very little downside there. So then you look at the opportunity cost. Well, it's coming at the expense of Patrick Johnson and Teron Jackson. I'm not really worried about stunting their development. No disrespect to either player.
The Eagles barely stunt anyway.
Yeah. So it made sense there. From all indications. Now, I just met him today and was in a press conference, but from what I've heard during the past 24 hours, he's a well-respected locker room guy. So there's a benefit there because you're always considerate, or you consider who you're bringing in to a mix that seems to be working. You saw Roquan Smith's reaction to him getting traded, which Bo asked about today. And Robert Quinn said that's an example of a teammate becoming a brother. Also, Chris Long has spoken very highly of Robert Quinn in the past. I spoke to a few Eagles today who mentioned Chris Long talking about him, right? So there's value there. As Bo wrote on our grading the trade yesterday, which Marissa did a great job putting this on the bottom of the screen. You can check that out on the Athletic. You do need to look into why he hasn't been as productive this season as in past seasons, right? But there is a track record here to gamble on. Like I said, one of 7 active players with double-digit sacks, 18.5 last season. Pass rushers tend to age well. And then I also think if there's a position where you can come in, I spoke to Brandon Graham about this today. There's a position where you can come in midseason and contribute. The edge rusher, the pass rusher is that spot. Graham said there are things with the defense in terms of dropping and nuances there that might take some time, but a coach can say, go to the quarterback. And Robert Quinn knows how to get to the quarterback. And Lane Johnson, talking to him today, Lane said that Robert Quinn usually rushes from the other side, from the offensive left side, defensive right side. So they haven't gone against each other much, but he obviously knows of Quinn. And he talks about the bend that Quinn has coming around the edge. And that if the offensive tackle doesn't get off the ball and doesn't have kind of quick feet and quick hips, he's done, right? Quinn's just going to get around you. So I think that in terms of adding a player they added him October 26th. It's week 8 of the NFL season. That a pass rusher is a good way to go. So all around, I give this trade really high marks, and I think it could have a major effect in games this season.
To your point, like a mid-season trade, you're worrying about like unknowns, right? How's the guy going to fit into a scheme? And as you said, like where can guys fit in pretty seamlessly? Pass rusher for sure, running back, which they might do, in which we saw in 2017. And like, what are the unknown? The other big unknown is how the guy's going to fit in. And as you said, everybody raves about the player, and the personality. So from that perspective, it seems like it should be a relatively seamless fit. He said today, like the biggest problem is the terminology. Like the scheme is fine. He can figure that out. But they call things differently than they did everywhere else he's been. And he's been a lot of places. So not a crazy adjustment for him, but he's never been traded midseason before. I think the right defensive end thing is interesting because the guy's been around. This is his 12th year. He really rarely rushes from the left side. He has been a predominantly one-sided rusher. So I think that affects how this rotation is going to work to some degree. I think it will be curious to see how they end up splitting up those snaps. Deniz has done a good job tweeting the other day about how like what we don't see from Jonathan Gannon is those 4 down packages with 3 defensive linemen on the field, which we saw all the time from Jim Schwartz. When the Eagles go 4 down linemen under Gannon, they keep 2 defensive tackles on the field. Now, Brandon Graham can do that, obviously, but Quinn and Sweat and Reddick are not designed to do that. So, like, there are going to be guys off the field. It's going to be tough to manage those snaps, but I think that is by design. I think that's a real major part of this move is that you trade volume of snaps now for quality of snaps come January and February, right? Like, and they've been, I think, some of these guys have, partially because of the Barnett injury, their snaps have been like a tick up than maybe they were a year ago, maybe than the Eagles would like them to be. And so I think adding a pass rusher was important for them because they needed to make sure that Hassan Reddick's legs are fresh in January, that Josh Sweat, his balky knee is not a problem down the stretch. So I think that's a major factor.
Yeah, a few things there. The first being obviously I shouldn't say obviously because our listeners don't know this yet, but when we spoke to the players today, it was before their first practice. But the indications that I got in the locker room was the expectation at this point is that it's going to be Sweat and Reddick with the top group and then Graham and Quinn with the next group. Okay, Graham even said, this was on the record, Graham Sweat said he expects to be in there with Quinn. So something to monitor there.
It's also sort of like for like that way, like Reddick skill set wise is like Quinn, Sweat is more like Graham, right?
And then I agree with you in terms of keeping them fresh, and that is a bit of an adjustment for Quinn. If you just look at his career, he's never played fewer than, I think, 55 or thereabout % of the snaps for his team. And he's not going to be that player in Philly, but I actually think that can be advantageous for him. I think it will keep him fresh. That was it was something I explored in the locker room, the benefit of that. And from both the defense and the offense perspective, I heard, the thing that kept coming up is the offensive linemen play every snap of the game, right? The pass rushers are subbing in and out. So you get to the third and fourth quarter, the pass rushers might be fresh. And actually, Lane Johnson had something interesting to say about this from an offensive lineman's perspective. And I will read this here close to verbatim because we are a family podcast. Quote, "There ain't a whole lot of good that comes with playing the O-line except the money. A lot of times you're getting beeped on. You're playing all the snaps. The defenders are playing 50%, 60% of the snaps. They get a sack. They're bleeping, tweeting about it." So that's the perspective of Lane Johnson there. Now, I this is a point that I wrote about, that I asked about today, and perhaps I'm belaboring it, but I don't think I'm belaboring it. And this is a team that has played with double-digit leads every game this season. They've had a 14-point lead in all 6 games. It's obviously difficult to sustain that pace, but it is reasonable to expect them to be playing with leads late in games. You just look at the teams they're playing, the opposing quarterbacks they're playing. They play 6 of their remaining games are against teams in the top 11 in sack percentage allowed, in sack percentage. And I frame it 11 because 2 teams are tied for 10, the Eagles by coincidence and the Indianapolis Colts. There are going to be sack opportunities with the teams they play against. And in particular, there are going to be late game sack opportunities when the Eagles have a lead and opposing teams need to pass the ball. If you just look at the numbers, the Eagles have 10 second half sacks this season, but they only have 1 in the past 2 games. And I think that's relevant because I don't want to say it's recency bias, but I do want to say the Eagles looked at the way they played against Arizona. They looked at the way they played against Dallas. They saw both those teams come back late in the games, and they probably didn't get, I would say they didn't get sufficient pass rush in either of those games in the second half. So now you have upgraded pass rushers, fresh pass rushers, and you're going to be playing with leads. I think this really makes sense for the Eagles.
Now, just to not be like so over the top here, we do need to talk about the drop in production, which is significant. Last year, obviously, he was really good. He hit the quarterback 23 times on 377 pass rush snaps. That was 6.1% towards the top of the league and at a very high volume. So that was a very impressive season. This year, he has barely touched the quarterback. He has 3 quarterback hits, including 1 sack, in 159 pass rush snaps. That's down from 6.1% to 1.9% that he's hitting the quarterback on pass rush opportunities. That is like of the players who have had as many pass rush snaps as him this year, which is in the 30s. On the edge, only 2 guys have a worse rate. So he has been invisible this year. Now, there is some context here. He has been double teamed at a fairly high rate. He has been more of a focus of opposing offenses than he was last year when Khalil Mack was there. Yeah. But I mean, there's a chance that he's totally cooked. In which case, like the cost, as you said, is not super high. It was worth a shot, but there's no, and you also imagine that if he's playing a fraction of the snaps, his legs will be fresher, but there is a possibility that he's totally cooked. And again, there's a reason that nobody else in the league was willing to give up a 4th round pick for him, despite him not costing anything this season.
That's a reasonable question to ponder. I do think the 2 factors being obviously new defensive scheme this year, and then not having Khalil Mack on the other side, like you mentioned, that certainly affects things. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt because of the track record. Also, if they had brought him in as, say, the Hassan Reddick move in March, then maybe in March, you're probably less skeptical because he's coming off an 18 and a half sack season. But I think it's important to note he's brought in here essentially as the third, fourth pass rusher, right? Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat are still top of the depth chart for them. And I know that they can say they have 4 starters, but my guess is when you look at the snap distribution at the end of the game, you're still going to see Reddick and Sweat atop that. But the Eagles, they're dealing with 2 players over 30 in Quinn and Graham. Quinn in his 12th season, Graham in his 13th season. And then on top of that, they have, Josh Sweat. I don't want to say he has a knee injury, but they're always cognizant of him health wise. He's one of the players who rests during the week, right? So you said this a few minutes ago, and it's very apt. They want to keep these guys fresh for a sustained run, and so I just think it makes a lot of sense from that perspective.
The other opportunity cost, to your earlier point, is we don't know what else was available, right? We don't know what else they were involved in. We don't know who else a 4th-round pick could have been used on. So, yes, this move in a vacuum seems like a good move. It's impossible for us to say whether, let's say they do this and trade a 6th-round pick for Rex Burkhead or some nonsense, or this and another 2024 4th-round pick for Kareem Hunt or something like that. Might probably cost a little bit more. Whether that's going to be better than if you had traded like a 6th-round pick for who's the guy, Marquise Haynes on the Panthers, who's like a similar productive level player this year, probably would be even cheaper, and you gave up a little bit more for a running back. That's impossible for us to know, but that's part of the balance and the tone that, or the decision that Roseman needs to make. I do think that this is it is funny because it is it was always the most obvious move. And it's funny that, or at least notable that they continue to make the obvious move.
If you were in Howie's shoes or sitting in his office, would you have gone harder, if you will, for Brian Burns or Bradley Chubb, someone who is part of your rotation long-term, or are you, and thus paying more in terms of draft pick compensation, and both players are obviously due for contract extensions, or are you okay with whether it's obviously it was Robert Quinn. It could have also been, say, Cleveland Farrell, or you mentioned Marquise Haynes, a player like that who you're probably only looking at as someone to help you this season.
I think it makes sense this way. Howie Roseman's MO is that he wants to be involved in everything. I think that's the right thing to do. It's hard to know without knowing what the cost of Brian Burns is. I think if you add a Brian Burns, there are more unknowns about how the transition is going to go in terms of upsetting the apple cart of a 6-0 team, right? If you bring in Brian Burns is not going to be the same good soldier that Robert Quinn is about being the 3rd or 4th pass rusher, right?
Yep.
And does that mean that Josh Sweat gets bumped down, and how unhappy is he? And how does the locker room take the fact that a guy who has earned snaps is all of a sudden not playing as many snaps, a guy who has been here? I think those are real dynamics that you worry about, especially in season. And so unless the deal for Brian Burns, who is awesome, and I love Brian Burns, and we can debate about who loves him the most, it's unless it was such an obvious move to get this guy here, I think I understand the reasoning here. I think it makes sense.
When looking at Robert Quinn, something else that jumps out to me, you mentioned that he was shocked about the trade, that he said today.
That was interesting.
Yeah, he said today that he wasn't unhappy in Chicago because of the affection that he had for his teammates. He understood the situation he was in. But it's
really
hard.
Interesting guy, just from one press conference.
Yeah, it's hard to ignore the reality that he's going to a situation where he has a really good chance of being on a contender here. I don't think the Bears are particularly good. They are 3-4. That said, Robert Quinn has only been in the playoffs twice in his career. He's played 2 postseason games. The teams he has been on, or the games he's played rather, he's only won, I think it was 46% of the games he's played in the league. When you think about Jeff Fisher as like the perpetual, 7-9, 8. I mean, those were the teams he was on. So this is a real chance for him to contend, to compete. And I don't want to compare him to Von Miller, because Von Miller is, now him and Von Miller are 2 of those 7 players who have eclipsed 100 sacks. And actually the only player in that group who is, who's younger than Robert Quinn is Aaron Donald. But Von Miller is obviously, he's a little more accomplished in his career. But it is comparable to me to the Von Miller trade last year when the Rams got Miller, essentially like adding to riches, but believing that they were going to be in the mix at the end, and they need a guy who can be a difference maker in those money situations. And I think that's what Robert Quinn can be in the playoff game. Like, I'm not doing a shield here and calling a strip sack in the Super Bowl, but I can certainly, it doesn't take hard. It doesn't require much effort to squint and see a postseason game when a team's trying to come back late in the game and Robert Quinn gets a strip sack. Robert Quinn, if you just look at his numbers, is well known for his ability to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands. He's I don't want to say strip sack artist. That might be a cliche, but between him and Hassan Reddick, you're getting 2 guys who can really get the ball out of the quarterback's hands.
Brandon Graham too. Yes. So I can certainly see that type of situation. Yeah. I mean, and like, obviously in the playoffs, like, to have Robert Quinn out there instead of Patrick Johnson or Teron Jackson, like, you feel better, no matter how cooked he might be. I mean, there's a chance this is a Ryan Kerrigan situation, and even Ryan Kerrigan showed up in the playoffs. That's true. I don't want a Max Duggan, Patrick Johnson. He's given good. He's actually been, he's been not bad. Yeah. By the way, I don't mean to make an aside here, but for our listeners and viewers who watch college football, Max Duggan is like a really good quarterback this year for one of the best teams in college football. He is getting the last laugh in the Jalen Reagor situation. Max Duggan, the TCU quarterback, and I was gonna mention this when we get to the Steelers part of this of the show. I feel like not since Max Duggan has everyone in the football universe been unanimous in their agreement that somebody is terrible at their job until Matt Canada coordinating the Steelers offense. So we can get to that, but I feel like there's a through line there. All right. Bobby Q said you can call him whatever you want. Robert, I'm going to ask him if I can call him Bo, I guess. So I liked his line better than your line, if I can be honest. Bo says you can call me whatever you want, just don't call me late for dinner. Well, it's not my line. That's like a very hacky old line. I know. So he said, call me whatever you want, just don't make it disrespectful, or as long as it's not disrespectful. So I got to ask him if I can call him Bo. I mean, that's not disrespect. That's what more respect could I bestow upon someone than to call them Bo? B-E-A-U. I agree. No, that is disrespectful. That is disrespectful. Okay. Anything else? Any meat we've left off the bone here on Robert Quinn? What could be coming next? Do you think he plays Sunday? I think he does. Yeah, I agree. As do I. I mean, it is crazy to just think about like the real life, personal whirlwind of this. I mean, even if he had an inkling he was going to get traded ahead of the trade deadline, like he's in Chicago yesterday, he gets to Philadelphia today, he's meeting these people. He's never he doesn't know a ton of people here. Yeah. And it's like he's got to get ready for a game on Sunday. He's living out of the hotel. This is a guy who's been in the league for 12 years. This is not, not a journeyman offensive lineman who's been looking for a spot around the league like a Michael Dunn who's used to living in his hotels. This is Bobby Q.
Now, this isn't his first rodeo, though. This is the 6th new locker room he's had in his career.
But the first season, that's a much different animal.
If you include relocation, which I included relocation, because even though you're with there's
Pretty
a lot
technical,
that changes.
but yeah.
Okay. But he's been traded 3 times now. He's signed with a team. He was drafted and then he relocated from St. Louis to Los Angeles.
And do you know who he was most recently traded for?
He was most recently traded for a 4th round pick.
Before that,
he was traded from Miami to Dallas, I believe, for a 6th rounder.
Which turned into
John Penasini.
John Penasini. It all comes back to John Penasini.
Okay. I only know that because the
Eagles have essentially traded for John Penasini.
No, but he was honest today, Robert Quinn, that is, not John Penasini, about he said he wants to
Calvin Throckmorton is a starter for the Saints these days.
He said he wants to learn
and Mason Kinsey is in the league.
He says he wants to learn everybody's name. He says that he doesn't like to call people by their jersey numbers.
Yeah, this was a tough sled. It's a tough sled that he's got here. Go ahead.
Yes. But he said he's not good with names. So this is something that he really has to work on. And
that's hard.
You should read Bo's son story. That might help him out.
That might help. Yeah. We're trading Jacksons.
Yeah.
That's a good one. But the key, all you have to do is when you meet someone, you just repeat their name 3 times. You say, hi, Marissa. It's great to meet you, Marissa. And then I look forward to seeing you soon, Marissa. Yeah. Right.
I've heard this. I've tried this. It doesn't work.
It definitely works. But I could just see Robert Quinn going around saying, hi, Dom. It's nice to meet you, Dom. I look forward to seeing you again soon, Dom.
He's got a nice gravelly deep voice. Hey, Dom. Nice to meet you, Dom. Look forward to seeing you, Dom.
Yeah. So that being said, he has a tall task in front of him because there are a lot of players and support staff and coaches and a few reporters. So we'll see how he does there. But he seems like an interesting guy, like you said. I've been fooled by press conferences before, but I like the guy. I was covering the ACC when he was there, and I remember him coming onto the scene. He only played 2 seasons of college football. He was suspended his junior year, in my opinion, unfairly. And then
what for?
They had a collection of players, him and Marvin Austin, and there was improper stuff with an assistant coach in terms of payments, or a coach was getting paid. It's hard for me to. You were
able to opine that it was unfair, so
I need to refresh my memory on it. But I do recall Marvin Austin being mixed up in it as well. And then he came onto the scene with the Rams, and if you recall, this is someone who, like Joe Banner back in the mid 2010s, was talking up like this guy's going to get the record-setting contract, right? He had near 20 sacks early in his career, and he's been 3-time Pro Bowler, but he's been productive in like different stretches in his career. It's not like
a very odd, like every other year type thing.
Exactly. So the Eagles should hope that it's not another year for him. But again, I can't knock the transaction, in large part because I said this is the move that I would make, and then they go on and make it. So it would be hypocritical of me to suggest otherwise.
I think we should also say it doesn't have to be a 1-year rental. He's under contract for next year. Sure. It's fully unguaranteed, so he can be cut for anything. That means you can't release him and get a comp pick in return, but it does mean that you could maybe restructure if you really like what you see this year. He could come back next year for cheaper, most likely. So
no Golden Tate situation here where they say
it's always ridiculous.
We're going to get the pick back and it has a compensatory.
Yeah. Give me a break. Now,
you asked before if I think another move is going to be made.
Yes. Well, quickly, last question on him is it Robert Quinn or is it Quinn Robert?
It is Robert Quinn.
Got it.
Yes.
Quinn. I like the name Quinn. Quinn was up there on our baby list.
I like that name too.
How close? How high?
It didn't make the Final Four.
Okay.
I think it made a good run, but not not to San Antonio or whatever.
Perhaps there will be a Quinn Dunn one day.
Yeah, I don't know. The double N's.
Yeah,
Michael.
QD. Quinn
Yeah.
Dunn. It's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
Is it only a
It's a cute
female
name.
name? Is it only a female name, or can you go men? Because I know some men named Quinn.
So you answered your own question.
Yes. No, but I'm saying when you think of the name, do you think of it as a man's name or a woman's name?
I think first, I think female, but that doesn't have to be.
Yeah. Could be a.
I think it was on our boy's name too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers is a person.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Who is
Quarterback.
Quarterback Texas.
Texas.
Okay.
Yes.
So he's not doing too well recently, right?
I was going to say Quinn Kessenich,
some
but I believe
growing
that's
pains.
Quint.
Yeah. There's Quinn. Yeah, there are a handful of Quinns. I played basketball with someone named Quinn when I was a kid.
This is very similar to the Wolfson that comes out tomorrow.
So
I'm excited.
Quinn Miners. Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Good shout out to the chat. All right. I don't think the Eagles are done. I will be surprised if they don't make another trade.
I am with you there. Heard whispers and think it's going to happen. Now, I don't think it's going to happen before this game here, right? The hay is in the barn.
Kamara.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette.
It's a little creepy.
Rex Burkhead.
Melvin
Gordon.
Yes, I think they'll be in the market for a running back. We will see what happens. The deadline is Tuesday. Now, it's unfortunate for the Eagles that the deadline comes during a week when they have a Thursday game, because it's unlikely that if they make a trade Monday night or Tuesday morning, that guy turns around and plays on Thursday.
Jonathan Taylor.
I don't believe they are going to acquire Jonathan Taylor.
Nick Chubb.
I don't believe they are going to acquire Nick Chubb.
But guys now.
I would look at them in the running back market.
Damian Harris.
I don't believe that either. We will see. But something to definitely pay attention to.
AJ Dillon.
I don't think that as well. Okay.
Cam Akers.
I would be on board with that. I don't think that's going to.
Connor. You'd be on board with, of all the guys I just named, Cam Akers is the one you'd be on board with? The guy who's injured and can't get on the field for a team desperate for offense?
Well, he's not injured. I
Who
just think he's
doesn't?
disgruntled.
Who's not a pass protector? That's the guy you're in on?
No, I think Kareem Hunt is the player to watch here.
What do you think about Kamara?
That would surprise me.
Yeah, but what do you think about the fit?
If you can't make Alvin Kamara fit, then it's your problem, not his problem.
I don't know. I think he might be cooked. I'd be worried about Alvin Kamara.
I don't think Alvin Kamara is cooked, and I think Alvin Kamara
He doesn't look like he's got the same juice to me.
I haven't watched every Saints game this year, but I would still gamble on getting Alvin Kamara. I don't think that's going to happen.
Where it's like, if you're bringing him in, you're getting rid of Miles Sanders, right?
After the season.
I mean, he solves the third down back issue, but I don't know. I don't know if those guys would be in the same. I think they might have to trade Miles Sanders if they trade for Alvin Kamara.
I don't believe that would occur, but I would pay attention to Kareem Hunt. That's a name I would watch.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
You tell me.
All right.
Got an ad break.
Well, I know. That's why we gotta go to break before we come back.
For the Steelers.
Talk Steelers. Talk chicken vodka wraps.
Mm.
All right. Well, I guess that was a good extended discussion of Bobby Q. We'll come back. Talk a little.
I hope it was insightful in addition to being informative. I hope it wasn't just I hope it wasn't just giving you facts, but also giving you insight.
What were the other two notes of self-scouting?
I didn't want that to come up on this podcast.
Oh, I thought that was the reference you were making.
Yes, to you guys, but I didn't want the public to. Okay. Yes, that was one of my notes for the audience.
Zach, I'm going to add one to your list. It's going to
Yes.
actually be to flex more. So you're going to have to post more clips or,
Okay.
I said this. Yeah, you got to show off your
Throw
work
it in
a
my
little
face that I was wrong about Teron Jackson. Make me eat that crow.
I would not do that. I would not do that.
I'll do it for you.
I really believed that they liked Teron Jackson, and because they value those guys, I mean, this could turn into a Casey Toohill situation. But I also thought that maybe the Greg Ward practice squad signing was a precursor to having to cut Britton Covey. But it didn't turn out to be the case. All right. Let's take a little break. You got 2 ads coming your way in case you need to take a little potty break. That's a little heads up for you. I guess that's what the clock does there. You know, Marissa's all about that. She's got you taken care of. So we'll talk to you when we come back.
I'm so excited to tell you about our next sponsor because there's no better pairing than birds with friends and a nice glass of wine. First Leaf makes it easy to discover new wines you'll love. They'll learn your taste, then deliver quality wines right to your door. Their website is super easy. You take a short quiz, and then the wine is delivered right to your door, and you can rate it. You can say what you like. They have wines from all over the world, and the list is constantly evolving. It is so cool. Forget driving to the wine shop, forget shopping by the label, and forget overspending on bottles you don't like. With First Leaf, you rate each wine you receive with a simple thumbs up or thumbs down. Then their experts will send you personalized selections with new and exciting bottles in every box. In fact, First Leaf can recommend wines you'll love with 96% accuracy. As your tastes evolve, so will the wines you receive. And if you're not completely satisfied with a bottle, First Leaf will even credit you for another. That's wine made simple. Like I said, the website is so easy to use and the wine is so delicious. So if you want to try it, sign up today and you'll get your first 6 bottles for $39.95 plus free shipping. Go to tryfirstleaf.com/BWF. That's tryfirstleaf.com/BWF to get your first 6 bottles for $39.95 plus free shipping. Tryfirstleaf.com/BWF. If you've ever wondered whether your CBD was working, that means it probably wasn't. Next Evo Naturals developed Smart Sorb technology, clinically proven to help your body absorb CBD 4 times better than regular CBD oil, because oil just doesn't mix with your water-based body. I've recently been trying to work out more and go to the gym. Next Evo Revive CBD Complex is so great for my sore muscles and encourages body recovery and supports healthy joint function. Smart Sorb technology improves CBD's ability to be absorbed, getting into your system in as little as 10 minutes. Next Evo Naturals are scientifically formulated to deliver more CBD in a way your body can actually use it, clinically proven to have 4 times better absorption. To help your body have a healthy inflammatory response, try the new Revive CBD Complex, which adds the benefits of curcumin with CBD. They use clinically proven Smart Sorb CBD and combine it with the patented curcumin blend to promote a healthy inflammatory response and help you feel restored. Don't settle for less. Get your supply of Next Evo Naturals Revive CBD Complex today, or shop their gummies, capsules, and mints, proven to absorb 4 times faster than standard CBD oil. Get up to 25% off when you subscribe and spend $40 or more at nextevo.com/recover with the promo code BIRDS. That's nextevo.com/recover, promo code BIRDS.
All right. Welcome back to Birds with Friends. Bo, Zach, and Marissa. Rachel just came down to get the laundry out of the dryer and let me know that I left my AirPods in my pants in the dryer, in the laundry. Tough to feel stupider than that.
Maybe they still work.
Fingers crossed. What do we think? How many turkeys would you put on them still working?
60-40.
Wow.
60-40 yes?
60-40 yes. Because it depends on, I guess, the case and how deep into those
it definitely
pockets
wasn't in the case.
Oh, they weren't in the case?
Oh no, yeah, they were in the case.
Oh.
The case was in. Yeah. They were in the case. It's the newer ones.
Yeah, so as long as they don't get in the case, getting inside the case will be their undoing.
Chad is saying 15 turkeys they work.
I think that sounds about right. The water, then the heat. That's a lot.
It's not ideal. It really is tough to feel dumber than that.
That's a tough one. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not even
Maybe
the
you can
one.
bring
Not
him
even.
back.
Not even to find out that you did it yourself, but to get it. Like, oh, look what you did. No, there's no excuse.
That happens a lot in our house too. So
Yeah. Big L for me. Marissa, it occurs to me that we've got this Crowline enemy on the Steelers. We should have just brought in, the other person who lives in a household with one of us who knows that team very well.
yeah. I mean, the Browns beat the Steelers
Emily.
earlier this year.
She doesn't know who the Eagles are playing this weekend.
But yeah, the Browns beat the Steelers earlier this year. But it was Mitch Trubisky. It wasn't Kenny Pickett.
Because that would have been it would have been tough for Michael to go against his boy.
Yeah, they did see each other after the game. Did see each other. No jersey swap.
Michael.
Still have not done one of those. But
we gotta get a swap.
I know. I'm trying to think of what games they.
Yeah, that's your best opportunity of getting the opposing quarterback, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. He's not getting Brady later.
You could have got a rookie Pickett. That could go for big bucks.
So there's two things there. First off, he knows Kenny, number one, and then the other thing is that, I mean, no disrespect to Jacoby Brissett, but I don't know if you're going up against like Tom Brady or Ben Roethlisberger or someone like that, you're going to want the opposing quarterback, but maybe there's not the desire for the opposing quarterback.
I thought you were like, it was a threat of bad human beings.
No.
I didn't get that it was quarterbacks. I thought you were just naming villains.
If Michael could swap jerseys with Tom Brady, oh my God, he would never be able to do that. But maybe he said like, you were my bar mitzvah theme.
I never mentioned this off the air. I hope I'm not doing something bad mentioning it on the air. I saw an interview with Michael, which first off, he did really well. He comported himself well. He spoke very well. I was impressed with that.
I think the girl did a great job editing it, but
okay. You know the one I'm talking about. Okay.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
And I love that he plays Madden franchises.
Oh, that's what he's probably doing right now while listening to this podcast. We'll see if I get a text. But
the inner GM in me is like, we're kindred spirits there. So
maybe Zach, you can play him.
I have a question. Where does Michael play himself in those franchises?
So he's usually not a player. He's usually like the GM or the coach.
Yeah. But is it the Browns?
Oh yeah, he's the Browns.
But he's got to put himself in as a starter, right?
No, he has himself as like the coach or the GM or something.
But he's on the roster in the game, or is he like so far into the future that it's?
I think he's so far into the future. I don't know. Sometimes it's like, yeah, I traded Wyatt, or like,
Wyatt pissed me off today. Like Wyatt forgot to put on his deodorant, so I traded him.
Yeah, he gets very into it. And then actually recently he got very far in advance and something with the system like deleted. And for like 3 days, he was so upset that he lost like all this stuff he did. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like there's all this stuff going around into the apartment and things, real life problems. And he's pouting because his Madden franchise deleted. And he's like Googling ways to get it back.
Oh, I'm with him. That sounds terrible.
It's time invested. It's like losing a document when you write it.
Yeah, that's awful.
But it's a video game.
That's true.
So yeah, they're just like us, He's a regular guy.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about this Steelers team. 2-5, obviously, as Marissa said. They turned the page from Mr. Biscuit to Mr. Michael Dunn says hello. Chicken vodka wrap. I think this is like my overall philosophy of the NFL this year is that there are like 3 good teams and everybody else is pretty close together. Like the Steelers are 2-5. They're not good, but they're not terrible. Like I think I had them at like 29th or something in the power rankings, but they're not like the team, the level of play that you would expect from the 4th worst team in the league. They are 24th in offensive DVOA, 21st passing, 30th running. Their offensive line is terrible, has always been terrible. They tried to sign some mediocre guys this summer. Didn't work out. They're still terrible. Can't run the ball. Najee Harris isn't making anybody miss. On defense, middle of the pack. They need to be great. They're just okay. 14th DVOA, 15th against the pass, 9th against the run. They're higher in success rate than they are in EPA per drive, which means that they're better on a play-by-play basis than they are in terms of preventing big plays. What do you think of Pickett, Zach? I know you wrote the story. Have you had a chance to watch him play?
I have. I've been able to do some Steelers prep work and have watched it. Haven't been that impressed thus far.
Interesting.
I like his running ability. You see that.
I kind of like him.
I don't want to be. Well, I really liked him coming out. I don't want to kind of join this parade of ripping on the offensive coordinator, but don't love their system.
Yeah, it's bad.
Right?
It's a terrible offense.
So I just keep seeing guys go in motion, and then it doesn't do anything.
Right.
They don't stretch the ball downfield, even though they have receivers who I feel can really threaten downfield. Between George Pickens, obviously Deontay Johnson, and Chase Claypool, I think they can really threaten you, but they don't stretch the field. That's been a big topic. I was watching Kenny Pickett's press conference yesterday, and like the reporters kept asking him about this, and he was saying in the NFL against certain coverages, against like bail technique, you can't do that. So you have to understand the coverages. But no, they have guys who've proven they can win matchups downfield. Claypool among them, and we'll get to that. I mean, we saw Claypool when the Eagles played them 2 years ago. He has a size disadvantage or a size mismatch on the Eagles slot receiver. The Eagles slot cornerback, Avonte Maddox, but Claypool can
a big part of the matchup. Yeah.
Yeah. Claypool can be a challenge in there. I agree. Their offensive line's not very good. I like the James Daniels signing when they made it. Hasn't done enough there to kind of rectify the line. But you asked about Pickett. I like his mobility. I like his I don't want to say his moxie. That's kind of like a cliche, and there's only so much you can determine watching it. But he seems to be tough in there.
I like that he makes quick decisions, and he's not scared in the pocket. And like for a rookie, though, I mean, maybe it's not always the right decision, and it's also a bad offense, so it's not like he has great decisions to make. Guys are not running free, but like he does stand in there and throw it, knowing he's going to get hit. And like for a rookie, that kind of willingness and pocket presence, I think means something. I think like if you're looking at this matchup, what would worry you is that like he is going to throw the ball up for 50-50 balls, right?
Yes, exactly.
And Darius Slay and James Bradbury have been awesome, but it's a 50-50 ball. Like you flip a coin and George Pickens can come down with that ball.
Yep.
Deontay Johnson can come down with that ball. So they could be in good position to make a play and just get outplayed. And I think like if this game goes the wrong way, I think it's on the hands of like some contested catches and maybe a big, the turnover differential goes the other way, right?
Yes. Now, my last point about Pickett is that I did watch some of the earlier game. I did watch an earlier game with Trubisky, and there's no argument for playing Trubisky. Like I saw when Pickett had the concussion, I saw some stories out of Pittsburgh that maybe they should go back to Trubisky.
He looked better in relief.
It gives them a chance to win. To me, it's as if I mean, there's no question here. Pickett gives them a better chance to win. Pickett brings more juice to the offense, and like you said, Pickett takes more chances downfield. If
it's a good thing long term. It's not. This is so. It's no,
but if I'm like a Pittsburgh wide receiver, I'm furious at like Mitchell Trubisky. All he's doing is just like short passes, checking down. I like that Trubisky's threatening you a little more.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then I guess the only other question on defense is, are we going to see Robert Quinn? But I guess we'll find that out. On the other side of the ball, Zach, no TJ Watt. Alex Highsmith has been productive, although like a big, I think 3 sacks in week 1. So it's been quiet since then. Minka Fitzpatrick. What did Jalen Hurts say about Minka Fitzpatrick this week?
Yeah, so I asked Jalen Hurts about it, and I asked a specific question, being that when Jalen was speaking about Devontae Smith 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, he referenced a small group of Alabama players who shared similar sensibilities, and Minka Fitzpatrick was one of those players. And so he said, you always know where 39 is on the field, first off, like just a dynamic player, in that regard. And then he has a lot of respect for him personally, having known him. And he said in college, Jalen Hurts would go to the weight room or the field on a Friday night or Saturday night, and he would want to get extra work in, and he wouldn't think anyone else would be there, and then Minkah Fitzpatrick would be there, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, who is a defensive back, as we all know, would sometimes even run the routes. And he said that shows you how versatile Minkah Fitzpatrick is. But he said that's someone that they need to watch out for. And when I was looking at the Steelers earlier this week, there have been games this year when like Minkah Fitzpatrick was literally a game-changing player. He would make a play that would change the game. And so that's someone that the Eagles must account for. And that's someone who the Eagles were interested in 2019, so 3 years ago now.
There you go. Anything else?
Cameron Sutton is a player who's jumped out to me in the few times that I've watched them. I don't know if that's just my limited exposure to them, but he's obviously he's someone who has jumped out. Cameron Hayward, very good reputation here.
Famously shut down by Michael Dunn in the playoffs.
Miles Jack is someone who I've always been jacked up about.
You have such a type.
What's my type?
Athletes who aren't good at football.
I think there's evidence that Miles Jack is good at football.
Yeah, Miles Jack has had a better career than Isaiah Simmons, but he's a similar type of player. Like, he's a better player in theory than he is in practice.
I suppose my football type on defense are these versatile, flexible guys.
It's the same on offense. It's Kyle Pitts. It's like yes. Oh my God. The league has never seen someone who can do all of these different things at the same time. Imagine what you could do with him on the field, the ways that you could move him around like a chess piece. And then he gets into a team and the coordinator's like, he's a linebacker. He's got to do this one job. And he's like, and he can't do it.
The more you can do, the more you can do. Okay. Your video is delayed for me, so I can't. So I see
they won't even throw Kyle Pitts the ball.
Well, that's an Arthur Smith problem. So you are going to have to confer with your
Isaiah Simmons gets benched every week.
Did you see that interception he had?
Yeah,
week,
and it was such a funny thing for you to flex about because it wasn't like he was running downfield with some great athlete. He was just a linebacker sitting in his zone, and he made a nice play. Like
he made a nice play. If your argument is that Miles Jack is not a good football player, I will.
He's fine.
Yeah, I've always liked the Miles Jack, but that's my opinion.
All right.
Hold on.
I am going to doppelganger thing, Marissa. Oh, yes. Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith. That's below the belt.
I was muted. I was drinking my water, and he said, "You're going to have to take that up with your doppelganger." And I almost spit my water all over.
That's below the belt. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit.
I like the fire side of Zach.
I think if you were ranking the attractiveness of the 32 head coaches, he'd be number 32. That's what you think of me?
That's what other people have said. I don't like to make comparisons. I think comparison is the thief of joy. So
what?
You've never heard that before?
Comparison is the thief of joy?
Yes. Comparison.
I have never heard that before.
Yes, that's a common expression.
Interesting. Okay.
You're delayed on it. I'm going to jump out and jump right back in if you don't mind. That way,
simile is the ninja of sadness. Like, what is that?
I don't know. I've never heard it either. But Zach reads way more books than us, so he's probably picked it up in.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Something.
It doesn't even make sense to me.
I would think like expectations, maybe like set like the comparison.
Yeah, what are we doing?
We could Google it quickly. Oh no, he's back.
All right.
There we go.
What happens is that if I change tabs, which I did to look at the depth chart for the Steelers, if I change tabs and I come back into this tab, then the camera's delayed. So Zach, yes.
Who said comparison is the thief of joy?
Who said it? I wish I could give you.
This is an hour. You're supposed to say who.
I would like to properly attribute it, but I don't. It's an expression I've heard for years. Who said it?
Theodore Roosevelt.
Well, that's a good man to learn from. The man in the arena. As a matter of fact, this up here, Theodore Roosevelt, the man in the arena, right? So,
what president was he?
I should know that. I can go reverse chronologically here. I should know that, but I don't have that at the top of my head, and that's probably not good podcasting for me to go inverse.
Michael has chimed in and said he has heard that phrase, and also he chimed in earlier and said he cut himself from the team. That's why he wasn't on the team. So this is circle back.
It's like a journalist with ethics. Like he's got to make he can't be swayed by the thought of potentially wanting to put himself in, even if he's not rated high enough.
Exactly.
I'm gonna move on from the Teddy Roosevelt discussion just to not fight about.
Wait, so to get back though to the Steelers, okay, very well coached traditionally with Mike Tomlin. Like we know, has never had a losing record. I don't think he has a very good taste in offensive coordinator sometimes, or at least recently. His recent hires have not hit there, but his teams play hard. And if
you had a list of all the countries in the world, and you were hiring an offensive coordinator sight unseen, and it was Matt Country, all you could do was pick the country based on the last name. Who would you hire?
I have no way of knowing the answer to this question. I don't know.
Where would your eyes go? I feel like Matt Brazil sounds like a guy who might have some offensive ideas.
Well, there's a hockey player, Barzal, right, on the Islanders, Barzal.
Okay.
Yeah, Matt Barzal.
Matt Chad?
I really don't know. I'm not qualified to.
What do you mean? This is not. You don't need a PhD to answer this question. This is just it's a personality test question. Who would you hire?
Matt France. I don't know.
Okay, Matt France.
Yeah.
That's good.
That was a good one, Zach.
Okay.
Matt France.
Yes.
Okay, not bad. All right. Well, why don't we go to break and come back with Swooper? Anything else on the Steelers, Zach?
Well, I thought we would get into a Tomlin discussion there, but
I mean, what do we have to say about Mike Tomlin?
But there's no need there. Mike Tomlin was effusive in his praise of Jalen Hurts this week. Had a chance to speak to Mike Tomlin on a conference call on Wednesday. Was kind of a little bit more muted in the conference call. Didn't have much to say. Asked him about Andy Weidel, the Eagles' former vice president of player personnel, and said he was not involved in the hiring or the evaluation of Andy Weidel, but mentioned that he's brought something to the building there. Didn't think the Kenny Pickett homecoming angle would be relevant. Thought that's secondary. Although that was the first question that Kenny Pickett got in his press conference this week. I should mention that. And yeah, overall, but I respect a Mike Tomlin team. The Eagles and Steelers don't have a big history playing against each other. Good. What's that?
Matt Turkey.
Matt Turkey. Okay.
The chat is going with the Mats.
I'm glad we're still on this conversation. This is really yes. No. So
was there anything else from Jalen Hurts' press conference this week, Zach?
From Jalen Hurts' press conference, he said the temperature changes, but they don't. Right? Wants to come back after the bye, even more infused. There were a lot of, or not a lot, a few Phillies questions. He likes Gene Segura, likes the way he plays, he likes his swag, called him number 2, asked for help with the pronunciation of the name, so I can appreciate
that'll be in the lead of the Wolves Den tomorrow.
He says that he was asked the question about his split allegiances. She's from Houston. I thought he answered it well. I give credit to the Eagles PR staff. I'm sure they prepped him on that one. And he said, he's a Houston guy, born and bred there, has a lot of loyalty to his hometown. Philly's his home now. He has a lot of love for Philly. And he said they're going to play the game, right? Or they're going to play the games. So that was his answer to that, but he liked watching the Phillies. There's a lot that can be taken from there. On the Phillies topic, spoke to AJ Brown yesterday. Doesn't understand how teams are pitching to Bryce Harper. AJ Brown, an exceptional high school baseball player who was drafted by the San Diego Padres, and says that when you can hit a baseball, when he was talking about how hard it is to hit a baseball, when you're hitting it like that, he said, and you're hitting it every time, it's a great thing, and you just shouldn't pitch to him. He also
Best feeling
says,
in the world.
yeah, he also says that you should that he didn't grow up around like a major sports city. He was born in Starkville, Mississippi, went to college in Oxford, Mississippi, started his NFL career in Nashville, Tennessee. He said he used to have to drive 2 hours or so to see a professional sports game. Here he went to the Sixers the other night. He thought it was real cool the way the fans were celebrating the Phillies. He's not going to lie that it makes him think about how cool it would be if the Eagles were to win. He doesn't want to get ahead of himself. He made sure that we wrote that down or recorded that. They're taking it one game at a time. But he did say if the Phillies win the World Series, he's going to go to the parade. So if our listeners go to the parade, look out for wide receiver 1.
There you go. All right. Good stuff on the Steelers. Why don't we take a little break, come back, Swooper, see if Marissa can keep her winning streak going.
Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Mental health is important in the sports world. From athletes taking time off to tend to mental health issues to the everyday importance of being focused. I've seen this up close in my coverage with 2 of the outstanding players I've covered missing time while navigating mental health challenges. More athletes are speaking out about the importance of mental health, but you don't have to be a pro to want to be at the top of your game. Everyone needs to take care of their mental well-being, whether you're an athlete or not. Therapy is the best way to stay in peak mental shape. Therapy can be beneficial from helping you feel like yourself, less stressed, and more confident. If you're thinking of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. It's convenient, accessible, affordable, and entirely online. Get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey and switch therapists anytime. When you're ready to feel at the top of your mental health game, therapy can get you there. Visit BetterHelp.com/BWF today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/BWF.
All right. Back on Birds with Friends. I had to scramble to write my prompts down quickly, but I got them. So we move to week 7 of Swooper Storecasting. Marissa on the board has a win. I lead the way with 3. I lead the way with 5. Zach has 0.
Should be 3, but
it's not. You have 1, I have 5. Zach has 0. However, this is the week that Zach planned for. Potentially. He will enter the arena with, I believe, what might be an unprecedented 41 turkeys. Marissa borrowed against the future. Paid off. She got the W, but she will only have 17 turkeys. I will have 26 turkeys, and away we go. Marissa, I believe, I could be wrong, I believe it might be your turn to lead off.
okay. I believe Edward wrote this one. I should have wrote the name down because I thought this was a really cool one. And I think this is right up Bo's alley. Jalen Hurts passes for 62 or more yards than Kenny Pickett. Kenny is 62 days older than Jalen Hurts.
Nice. That's a good one. I like that.
Yes. So basically, Jalen Hurts needs to pass for 62 or more yards more than Kenny Pickett.
I'll say 2.
3.
4.
Oh, big spender. 17 turkeys. Think she's going to come in and throw her turkeys around.
5.
Gobble, gobble.
Ooh. I'm out.
6.
Kenny Pickett has not thrown for a lot of yards this year, but neither has Jalen Hurts. The Eagles will be, I'll go 7.
Wow. Do I hear 8?
You got it, Zach.
Okay, 7 it is.
Sold to Zach for 7. All right.
So now I'm at 35 turkeys. Okay.
34 turkeys. Please don't cheat.
34 turkeys. Thank you.
Okay. Would you like to go next?
Sure. Robert Quinn gets a sack.
There was
Bobby
a lot of these
Q.
in the chat.
Bo Quinn. 1.
2.
3.
4. We talked about that Steelers offensive line.
It's true.
Going once.
You can have it from my perspective. I don't know if Bo's going to
Bo. Going twice. Sold to me for 4.
Yeah, Quinn sack.
All right. I like that. It's a fun thing to root for.
Now, Rohit asked if does a half a sack count. I was considering a full sack.
Yeah, I would say no.
Okay.
But 2 half sacks.
2 half sacks count.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. I like that.
Okay. Good
better
clarification. Rohit. All right. I will go with a classic that I really I like. I think it was like it was 2 weeks ago when we had a little Phillies action in here.
Mm-hmm.
Got 2 World Series games coming up ahead of Sunday's game. Mine is that the Phillies combined runs in the first 2 games is greater than the points scored by whoever the lower scoring team is on Sunday.
Okay.
1.
1, 2.
3.
So potential Eagle shutout here could be advantageous.
I'm out.
4.
I'll say 5. Something fun to root for.
It's yours.
All
5 going once,
right.
5 going twice. Sold.
Okay. Zach, are you ready?
I'm not ready, but
Let's
do it anyways.
let's set the stage for Deniz's here. 34 turkeys for Zach, 21 for me, 13 for Marissa.
Okay. Lots of red. Okay. The item. The Eagles force a 3 and out on 25% or more of the Steelers' drives. Steelers offense has gone 3 and out on a league high of 33% of their drives. Eagles defense has forced 3 and out on 26% of opponents' drives, which is 4th highest. Now, this is a sealed bid second price auction. All 3 players privately write down their bids and then reveal them at the same time. The highest bidder wins the item, but only pays the second highest bid. The other 2 players do not pay anything. Note to Zach.
okay, thank you.
If there is a 2-way tie for the highest bid, each of those players are rewarded half the item and each pays half of what they bid, rounding up to the next whole turkey if needed. For example, if there is a 2-way tie at 11 turkeys each, 2 players who bid 11 would each pay 6 turkeys and then will get 0.5 of if the item hits. If there is a 3-way tie, all 3 bidders get 1/3 of the item and pay 1/3 of their bid, rounding up to the nearest whole turkey. See Twitter last week for a summary of how bidders should bid in this kind of auction. It is very commonly used worldwide because it is, quote, strategy proof. There is no need to really strategize once you learn how to play. Got that,
I didn't
Zach?
see. I think I missed his Twitter thread on this.
I missed the Twitter thread too, but I respect Professor Selman.
Okay,
quite a
so basically the item again is the Eagles force a 3 and out on 25% or more of the Steelers' drives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So,
All right, tell me when to lift it up.
okay, wait. I have no pen again. So.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. 7 for me, 6 for Marissa, 9 for
for
Zach.
Zach.
Zach gets it 4-7.
Okay. All right. That's a good one.
What was it? 33% or 25%?
No, 25%. The Steelers offense
Okay.
have gone 3 and out on a league
Got it.
high of 33% of their drives. Yep.
All right, Marissa, it's to you.
Okay. I'm up next. I had a Robert Quinn one, so I'm going to have to change that. There is, I hope this is grammatically correct. There is 1 or fewer lead changes in the game.
There are.
There are.
That's
1
interesting.
or fewer lead changes. So are
And
we
does
counting?
the initial one, does that count?
Doesn't count. I think
No.
the
So
initial.
from 0 to 7 or 0 to
No,
3.
that does
doesn't
not
count.
count. No. I mean, this is the commenters, but I'm going to say that doesn't count.
Okay, so 1 or fewer. Okay, that's a good one. That's fun.
We've never done something like this.
I like that.
3.
Ooh.
Zach, you know what? He slow played us, Marissa. but
4.
He wore the vest on purpose because he was ready to flex his turkeys today.
Yes.
Trust me, I don't want to lose my turkeys in a 1 turkey week.
Wait.
Same.
Zach, when you listened back to the pods, was Swooper
No,
part of your
Swooper's not part of
self-scouting?
it. No, Swooper's not part of it. It was
Just fast forwarded through that part.
yes.
Skimmed it.
I accept that I am not particularly good nor interested in this segment, and so
Wow.
yes. So
Shots fired. Not interested in the segment. What kind of message does that send to the listeners?
if it took the listeners this long for them to decipher that, then look, I'm happy to play along, but
It doesn't
Okay.
sound like it.
I'm going 4.
4. 4 going once. Less than 1 or fewer lead changes.
5. 5. I'm sorry.
5. 5 from the man in the black vest. I hear 5.
You got it, Zach. I'm out.
5. 5 going once. 5 going twice.
Sold.
5 is sold to the handsome man in the vest.
So I'm at 22 turkeys now, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
That's a pretty good one, Zach.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're up.
There is a photo of Kenny Pickett and Donovan McNabb together shown on the broadcast.
1.
1. 2.
Should I give context here or no?
I know that's the only reason you did it, so you might as well.
Kenny Pickett has a photo of him and Donovan McNabb that his mother is currently looking for. He is not in possession of it yet, but she is trying to find it, and he'll put it out there if and when she does find it.
Does an artist's rendering of the picture count?
Sure.
So
or
Kenny
even-
Pickett
Oh,
in
it
an
doesn't have
Eagle
to be the
shirt.
actual photo. It could be a drawing.
If they post a drawing of Pickett and McNabb, you deserve points.
I don't know about that. It's not the photo. I would argue against that.
Okay.
But
All right. So you're at 2?
So someone asked if there's photos of Kenny and Michael together. There's actually photos of them doing yoga together.
now
Yes,
we're talking.
but Michael would kill me if I share them. So we'll have to wait for the McNabb one. I'll go 2.
I'll go 3.
Zach's just spending. I'm out.
I've never seen him so frivolous with his Turks.
Well, I have a number that I'm not going beyond. I have a carryover number. I
Okay.
shouldn't say that. I don't want
3 going once. 3 going twice. You get it.
And this is a CBS game, by the way. It's Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, I believe.
Mm.
Higher
another-
quality broadcast means they might be able to do a little bit more digging. Okay. All right. Mine is very simple. The Steelers win the turnover battle.
Mm.
Eagles, of course, lead the league in turnover differential. Steelers, not as good. I'll say 1.
I'm not interested in this.
Neither am I, but I can't let you have it for 1.
2.
3.
Wow. I'm out.
As am I.
3 going once. 3 going twice. Sold.
Wow.
To the very handsome man in the blue shirt.
Marissa, sorry that my mic is moving.
That's okay. I was trying to message it to you privately, Zach, so
Sorry.
it wasn't. Okay. Ready?
Ready.
Oh, I opened the wrong file.
1. Sorry.
Okay. No red on this one, so this is a normal auction.
Turnovers on downs do not count. That's
Zach, it's still kind of moving.
a clarity.
It's like wobbling.
Hey, what are you doing, Zach?
Nothing.
Say the full Costanza there, hands up. Okay.
Okay. There is a lost fumble during a play from scrimmage. There's a lost fumble during a play from scrimmage. These two teams are the best two in the league at not losing fumbles. Eagles haven't lost any, and the Steelers have lost only one in a combined 140 offensive drives.
What was the first part of that?
And the answer and the
So
the item is that there will be
There is a lost fumble during a play from scrimmage.
2.
Okay. 3.
4.
5.
Counting on a strip sack of Kenny Pickett here.
I'm counting on a fumble of any kind. But, maybe those small hands play into it. Those little bitty hands.
It's relative.
I'm out.
It's too early for me to exhaust this, so you can have it for 5.
5 going once, 5 going twice. Sold.
Okay, can we have a turkey update?
Marissa, you have 13. Bo, you have 13. Zach, you have 19.
Okay. Jalen Hurts has more yards than Najee Harris.
Running, correct?
Running, yes.
Najee Harris has not been very effective this year.
Yes.
4.
5.
6.
7.
7. 7 going once. 7 going twice. 8.
Oh. Jeez.
8 going once.
9.
Ooh, hurts more than Jalen. This feels. I mean, I'm sure he's done it almost every game. 9.
Going once. Going twice. Sold to me for 9.
You got it. It's a good
Okay.
one.
I needed
Eagles.
Okay, sorry, Zach.
I'm sorry. Eagles score more second half points than first half points. And the context here is obvious. They've been known as a first half team and not a second half team this season.
3.
4.
Are they slow coming off the bye? As we all recall, that 2017 season, they come out against Dallas after their bye, and they are just sleepwalking through that game. And they emerge out of the locker room in second half and dominate the Cowboys. You can read about that in Underdogs, the Philadelphia Eagles' emotional road to Super Bowl victory. So we're at 4 right now.
5.
I am out of bidding. No more turkeys left.
As am I. I have a number.
Oh, and this is beyond your number. Interesting. 5 going once, 5 going twice.
Sold to Bo.
Sold.
Wow. Okay, Zach.
I don't even remember. What did I just win? Oh, yeah, second half points. All right. Ready? Both 2-minute warnings occur at exactly 2 minutes.
Oh, as opposed to like 159 or...
Yes.
So it has to happen before a play.
Oh, no, I mean, you would think that it would mean that the clock is running to 2 minutes.
Right.
Right. So,
but like a play, yeah.
So when the clock stops for the 2-minute warning is exactly at 2 minutes and 0 seconds.
Right, but that
Both
only
in the
can
first half
happen if the play hasn't started, right?
Yeah, so if the
Right.
play hasn't started or if a play just magically
Well, it is
ended
possible
at
that the
2 minutes.
play could end
end
at
at 2
exactly
minutes.
2
Oh,
minutes.
yeah.
But that
Okay.
is the less
Yeah.
likely. Yeah.
Okay.
But it happens both times.
Okay. 1.
2. I want to root for it.
How many turkeys you got left?
8.
3.
How bad do I want it? I know Zach doesn't like a silly one. What this thing is, have up his sleeve.
Going once. Going twice.
It's yours, Marissa.
Sold.
Don't speak for me. You got it.
Okay. All right. And the final one. Oh, this is a good one. Nick Sirianni wears some sort of Phillies gear during his post-game press conference. Or back up if this already has been used. And then it's fine because we did not use this one yet. So I won't even read that.
1.
4.
Now it's during his post-game press conference.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do this. I think he does the pandering on Friday. He's going to do it tomorrow. I don't think he's going to do it for the post.
So are you mad that I got the 2-minute one?
Yeah, I would rather have the 2-minute one. But
4. Now, the only thing is they don't play a game that day. Like Bo said, I think he pulls it out tomorrow, day of the game, right?
he's too focused. He's too insularly focused after the game on the game itself.
The flip side is he does change from whatever he's wearing post game to something. He put on the
That's right.
Yeah, he put on the Roxborough shirt and he put on the Reggie White, or I'm sorry, the Harold Carmichael. No, I'm sorry, it was Mike Quick. The Mike Quick jersey. So
I don't think he's going to do this, but I want some action.
And the Phillies come home on Monday. So maybe if they win, the Phillies come home.
yeah, so I'm going 4.
Okay. Bo?
Going once.
Marissa, I'll trade you. I'll
Ooh.
trade you 5 turkeys for your 2-minute warning item.
Ooh. Can we do this?
I mean, there's no rules.
We're making them up as we go. Zach, how do you feel about this?
All's fair in love and Swooper, right?
That's a drop. Oh, I totally forgot to put together the music. Next week, we're going to have a Swooper intro. So I get, what is the trade?
So I would give you 5 turkeys. So you would go from having 1 turkey.
But I paid 4 turkeys for it.
Right. So I'm giving you more turkeys.
So you get a free turkey. You essentially bought a turkey.
1 turkey?
Yeah.
Good job, Marissa. Yeah. Negotiate
We're not doing
here.
that for 1 turkey.
But then you can use that turkey if you want this item, or you can keep it for next week.
I think I'd prefer the item I have.
Okay.
All right, I'll give you 6. That's my final offer.
6? Nah.
All right.
I'm good. I'll stick with it. So who's buying this one?
I am for 4. Going
It's
once.
not sold yet.
I thought you said one thing we need to do is speed up the auction.
That's true.
For
We're out
the
of practice.
listeners. Yes.
Going
So
once.
I'm trying to accelerate here.
Going twice.
Sold.
Sold
for
to
4.
Zach. Okay.
Boom. And I exit with my number. That's great.
Boom.
That's great. I'm a little bit worried about insider trading here. That Zach might slip him some kind of Phillies merch on his way in.
Mhm.
But that's all's fair in love and Swooper. You're allowed to do that.
You can question a lot. Don't question my integrity. I would never dare do that.
You could though.
I would not.
Okay. Marissa, you got a Robert Quinn sack. Jalen Hurts has more rushing yards than Najee Harris. That one's going to hit. And then both 2-minute warnings occur at exactly 2 minutes. Zach has Jalen Hurts has more than 62 more passing yards than Kenny Pickett. 25% of the Steelers' drives are 3 and outs. There is 1 or fewer lead change in the game. Kenny Pickett, Donovan McNabb photo or artist's rendering. I hope it doesn't come down to that because that would be BS. And Nick Sirianni wears some Phillies merchandise. I have the Phillies score more runs combined in games 1 and 2 than the lower scoring team in Sunday's game. Steelers win the turnover battle. There's a fumble loss and a play from scrimmage, and the Eagles score more second half points than first half points.
And how many
Exciting stuff.
turkeys are we all carrying over here?
I have 8. You have 15. Marissa has 1.
Okay.
I thought I had 0, but I'll take 1.
No, you. Oh, did you buy it for? Oh, you bought it for 3. Did you?
For 4.
You got it for 4. So then you do
Mhm.
have 0 turkeys left.
I'm
sorry.
honest. I should get that point back for being honest.
I agree.
Character
Well,
counts.
No, but you should have taken the offer. All right, let's get to the crystal bald eagle. Zach, what you got?
So let me pull up the point spread here. Make sure there's no line movement. Eagles are heavy favorites here coming off the bye. They're obviously the better team. I think that's been pretty clear here. The latest line I see is Eagles minus 10.5 with an over under 43.5. I didn't pull this up on my phone. I think that I would play both sides of this like I normally do. And I actually think I'm going to play both sides of this like I normally do.
7 for 7.
I think now, if I look at the Steelers betting trends, they're not a team that like plays you close in losses. They either get beat by a lot or they upset you. I don't think they're going to upset the Eagles.
Didn't they play close last week against the Dolphins?
Yes, but I'm talking about overall betting trends. But if you're just looking at the overall trends this year, double-digit favorites have not been very good at covering, and that's a big line. So I am going with Eagles 27, Steelers 17. Eagles win. I'll give you I think they pass the ball effectively. I think the Steelers try to stop the Eagles' running game. I think this is a week when you see more from A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. I'd like that there. The matchup to watch on when the Eagles are on defense is Chase Claypool against Avonte Maddox. Avonte Maddox is a really good slot cornerback. And far be it for me to call someone small, but from a football perspective, he's on the smaller side, doesn't have long arms. And that's a tough matchup when you got someone like Chase Claypool. And so I think they'll try to isolate that and put Chase Claypool in chances where he can win either jump ball or situations where he can use his size to his advantage. George Pickens on the outside can win those 50-50 balls. I think that the Eagles are going to be more concerned with taking away Pittsburgh's running game. They'll try to pressure Kenny Pickett, and I think they'll be effective doing so. But the Steelers might be able to get a big play or two in this game.
Is there anything on your radar, Zach, in terms of self-scouting that the Eagles did that you might see them try to reverse here?
A very good question. As far as like tendency breakers,
or things that they haven't been able to accomplish. Like, do they want to make sure to really get AJ Brown the ball more or something like that?
I think you. So I was on a show last night where they said Kenny. They said Quez Watkins hasn't really been involved in the offense, and
which is true.
Like, how concerned are you about that? And Zach Pascal hasn't. Zach Pascal has not really been involved.
It was in the power rankings this week. The Eagles' top 3 receivers,
yes,
A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert, as you predicted before the season, Zach, is the highest share of team receiving yards for any top 3 in the league. It's like 83%, which is way high.
Exactly. And and so my answer last night on that show was no disrespect to Quez Watkins or Zach Pascal, but if I had A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert and Devontae Smith, I wouldn't pass to those guys as often either, right? There's a reason why the big 3 get to have this big target share. It's like when the Nets had Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. They weren't throwing the ball or passing the ball to Joe Harris to win games for them. Actually, they did try that at one point, but to lead them in scoring. So point being that I think that's something they could try to do is get a shot play downfield to Quez Watkins or get Gainwell involved in the passing game. But I wouldn't do it. If I'm looking for anything, it's potentially mixing Jordan Davis in those 4-man fronts or with I don't think they're going to break up that the Milton Williams Marlin group yet, but I think they could push him into the Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave group. So
I think that's right.
Yeah, so that's something I would watch.
I think they should throw Quez the ball a little bit more, just on the deep shots, just to back the defense off. We have not seen like the vertical passing game, which was a part of the offense in the first 3-4 weeks, has gone away a little bit the past couple of weeks. I don't know if they're, what it is that defenses are doing to negate that. I mean, what they're doing is they're blitzing more, and there's not enough time to get the ball out. That's what's going on. I think the Eagles would like to gain that up. Quez is at like the highest rate of routes run, or the lowest rate of routes run per target in the league for guys who have run as many routes as he has. But yes, we're talking like one extra target a game that I think they'd like to build in. I think they would like to get AJ Brown a little bit more involved. Not quite as much as it was in Detroit, but he's here for a reason. I think they could get him the ball downfield more. I think downfield passing is the thing that I expect them to try to build a little bit more into the offense this week. And so we will see if that happens. I think this game might be a little bit of a struggle early on. Just a little bit of doldrums coming out, feeling themselves a little bit, getting back into the routine. I think the Steelers might come out and take an early lead in this game. But I think the Eagles, over the course of the game, will pull away. They are the better team. Give me the Eagles 26-18. 26-18 Eagles.
You don't have them covering either.
I do not. Yeah. So there you go. We will be back, of course.
Quick programming update for the post-game show. I believe we will be on later at night. It won't be live from the Lincoln Financial Field, so you won't have the backdrop of the tile ceiling in the radio booth. But you'll get us later on.
A little how the tofu is made. We're trying to in an effort to get the day after up earlier Monday mornings. We trade off having the post-game pod a little bit later. Maybe that means we're being unfair to Zach and Marissa, who have finished their work already. We're tilting.
I'm ready whenever you guys are.
But that's the
long
reason.
As the sickos join.
That's the reason behind that. 1 o'clock game. You're talking about like maybe a 10:30 ish show. See how it goes. That's about it. So, any final words, Zach or Marissa?
Nope. Hope I win in Swooper.
Looking forward to the week ahead. The weekend ahead. Big Phillies games. Happy Halloween to all of our.
You have a Phillies prediction, Zach?
Actually, no. We're going to talk before Halloween. So,
that's true.
Do I have a Phillies prediction? The Astros are really good, right? This is a team. We talked about it with Gelb. This bullpen's a machine. The lineup
was a fun conversation. I enjoyed a little chat with Mr. Gelb.
The lineup is so well built. Their GM Click has made a few moves on the periphery, but Jeff Lunau really built like a juggernaut organization here.
We really got to throw Lunau a bone right now.
You got to throw
Lunau a bone. What about it's the players?
Absolutely, it is the players. It is the players. And if you look, my fantasy baseball team doesn't have a lot to brag about, but I got Yordan Alvarez when he was a prospect, and he's someone who's been kind of developing in the system there. But anyways, you don't need to give Lunau credit. Okay, I didn't mean to get you fired up. That said, the Phillies are hot right now. Playoff baseball.
Tom Brady, Jeff Lunau.
Playoff baseball is fundamentally different than the regular season. We talked about that with Gelb, even though the Astros are really good in the postseason. I think the Phillies have those top two starters are going to be well rested. They're going to have Noah Wheeler if they can just steal one in Houston. I like the Phillies' chances here. I'm going Phillies in 6. So Phillies close out the series,
and you're there to watch it happen.
Friday night at Minute Maid Park. We will see. So, but yeah, I'm going Phillies in 6.
All right.
Well, there's probably a little homerism in that pick. So
it's quite all right.
That's okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We will see you Sunday evening. For Zach and Marissa and Bobby Q and Matt Afghanistan, I'm Bo. We thank you for listening. We will talk to you on Sunday night. And as always, we love you.